Okay, you can see that our parts are ready to go. Our differential carrier as well as our pinion have new bearings on them now. There is new bearings on both sides of our carrier now, and they are pressed on and they've been well lubed up along with their mating race. They are sitting ready to go in. Same with our pinion. Our pinion has now had the nice new pinion bearing pressed on, and it is sitting ready to go in. It's well greased up in advance until the gear oil gets into it. It's good to have it well greased up for the first run up, and the additional pinion bearing for the outside and its mating stock shim, which is going to go on the outside, along with a new bolt that's going to go on the outside that came with the bearing kit. So our carrier and our pinion are ready to go. Looking good. And so with our new races in place, in goes our pinion, ready to go in and hopefully have a long life. And we put a new seal on the front side, which can be tapped in, and then the pinion flange just gets tapped back on lightly to position it, and then ultimately the pinion nut will suck it in when we tighten that down. So the process for setting the pinion bearing preload is a slow process of locking the pinion flange in place. In this case, I used a punch that went through one of the bolt holes and locked itself against the differential housing. And you're tightening it little by little, about 1/8 of a turn at a time, and checking it periodically with your inch-pound torque wrench until you start to get some drag on it, and then you want to look for getting the right amount of drag or preload on that inch-pound torque wrench. And you just keep tightening it incrementally, a little bit at a time. You never want to go too far and overdo it, because once the crush sleeve reaches the right preload, you don't want to go any farther. You can't back it off if you go too far. So you go little by little, 1/8 of a turn at a time, check for drag. When you start to feel the drag, you can start to check it with your inch-pound torque wrench, and this is a beam style torque wrench. And you can see that it doesn't start to turn until I hit about the 24 inch-pound range, and then it comes along nice and easy. And that's exactly what we're after. So I think our pinion preload is good. Our new pinion is in there. If you remember when we started, there was a lot of play in this whole pinion flange. It was loose. You could actually shake this thing and wiggle it. Well, there's no wiggle in it now, and the preload is now set to the correct preload tolerance. So I would say our pinion is good to go, and we can put in the carrier. And we will try slipping a shim in on this left side now. And perhaps one more. Persuade it. And so we're getting a series of shims on the left side that we're just tucking in, just to get it in till it's snug in there and happy. So our bearing caps go back on, same side they came from, arrows pointed outward. So I've ended up with a combination of 2 shims on each side of the carrier. The original shims, after it was re-bearinged, were just too tight, and luckily I was able to access a collection of shims, and I've gone through the process of switching shims back and forth between the left and right side of the carrier in order to position the gears properly, to get the carrier ring gear positioning correct. And I've ended up with 2 shims on each side that basically have provided for the correct gear positioning and the correct pattern. Once we have a look at the gears under load, we get a gear pattern which has been painted and run through a few times, a few cycles, and you can see the load pattern on the gears there through the paint is right in the middle area. It's looks like a very good pattern, so that's what we're after, and it looks like our differential is just about ready to go. And so with all of the mechanical work done, you can replace your differential cover with some good sealant and snug all of the bolts down. And of course, make sure you don't forget to refill your gear oil before you take it for a road test.